You know, for over a century, the sound of the internal combustion engine has basically been the heartbeat of our world. But now, in the age of electrification, you have to wonder, is its time running out? Or could a completely new kind of fire give it a second chance? Okay, let's get into it.
An engine should rotate, not hammer. That was the big idea from Felix Wankel, an inventor who imagined a totally different kind of engine. His concept? Well, it challenged the very foundation of how cars made power. And honestly, it's the perfect way to kick off our story about innovation, brilliant flaws, and the future of fuel itself.
All right, so let's start right there with Wankel's invention, the rotary engine. So instead of pistons just slamming up and down, this thing used a clever spinning triangle to make power in a completely new way.
And you can really see the core difference in thinking right here. A piston engine, with all its moving parts, it literally hammers out horsepower. I mean, you have all this metal violently changing direction thousands of times a minute. The rotary, on the other hand, a totally different story. It's all about smooth, continuous rotational force. We're talking fewer parts, way less vibration. It's just a really elegant solution.
And man, the benefits were just awesome. Because it was so simple, it was also small and light, which was a huge win for designing sports cars. The operation was silky smooth without all the shaking of a normal piston engine. And because you didn't have all that heavy metal thrashing around, it could rev to the moon. Screaming past 8,000 RPM was no big deal.
So if this thing was so brilliant, you've got to ask, right? Why aren't we all driving rotary-powered cars today? Well, turns out, for all its genius, it had some, let's just say, some fatal flaws.
And yeah, here's the laundry list. Those little seals on the tips of the rotor, the apex seals, they were the Achilles heel. They'd wear out, you'd lose compression, and that was that. And get this, it had to burn oil on purpose just to keep those seals looped up. But the real deal breakers, it was thirsty and it was dirty. That oddly shaped combustion chamber just wasn't efficient, which meant terrible gas mileage and super high emissions. At the end of the day, it was just way too needy and polluted for the average driver.
You know, the rotary's issues with emissions, that was kind of like a sneak peek of a much bigger problem. A problem that every single combustion engine is facing today, no matter how slick or advanced it is. We're talking about an existential threat, the global climate challenge.
And this chart, wow, it really puts the problem into perspective, doesn't it? That orange chunk, that's transportation. It's a massive piece of the global CO2 emissions pie. And then you see that steep drop we need to make to hit net zero? That right there, that's the immense pressure. That's the challenge. That could make the good old car engine a thing of the past.
So, the obvious answer everyone's talking about is just go electric, right? And hey, EVs are an amazing technology, and they're the perfect fit for a lot of people. But they're not a magic bullet. They've got their own hurdles. You've got the high sticker price, the whole will I make it there range anxiety, the long charging times. Not to mention, we'd need to build a whole new charging network and figure out the shaky supply of battery materials.
And this is where things get really, really interesting. Because what if we're asking the wrong question? What if it's not about ditching the engine? What if it's about reinventing the fuel? And that brings us to this really cool idea, e-fuels.
So, what the heck is an e-fuel? Well, in simple terms, it's a synthetic fuel that we make ourselves. Here's the recipe. You take clean hydrogen, made using renewable energy like wind or solar, and you mix it with carbon dioxide that you've literally sucked out of the air. You put them together, and you get a liquid fuel that's carbon neutral.
This diagram lays it out perfectly. You see the solar panels and wind turbines, they make green electricity. That electricity splits water into hydrogen. Then, you take that green hydrogen, combine it with captured CO2, and boom, you've got synthetic gasoline or e-diesel. And the coolest part? When you burn it in your car, you're just putting the CO2 back that you used to make it. It's a closed loop. It's carbon neutral.
And the advantages here are potentially massive. I mean, think about it. E-fuels could work in the car you have sitting in your driveway right now. We could use all the gas stations, all the pipelines, all the tankers we already have. We wouldn't have to rebuild everything from scratch. We just change the liquid going through the pipes. Plus, it's a great way to store extra green energy for later.
Okay, now this is super important. Energy density. Just look at the difference here. Liquid fuels pack way more punch for their weight than batteries do. So for stuff like jumbo jets or massive container ships, trying to power them with today's batteries is pretty much a non-starter. They'd be too heavy to even move. So for those big, heavy-duty jobs, a clean liquid fuel isn't just a cool idea, it might be the only idea that works.
So let's bring it all together. We have a potential clean fuel. Does that mean the internal combustion engine gets a second lease on life? Well, the potential is definitely there, but it's not going to be an easy road. There are some major obstacles ahead.
And we have to be realistic here. The challenges are huge. First off, cost. Right now, making e-fuels is incredibly expensive, and the process itself uses a ton of energy, so we'd need to build an absolutely massive number of new solar and wind farms just to keep up. For this to ever work on a big scale, it's going to need a ton of investment and some serious government support to make it affordable.
Which brings us right back to where we started. The whole history of the car engine is one of constant innovation, right? From Wankel's dream of a smooth, rotating engine to today's race for clean power. E-fuels are another chapter in that story. It's a tough road, for sure, but it's a fascinating one. It's a path where maybe, just maybe, the fire inside our engines doesn't have to be extinguished. Instead, it could be reborn, cleaner than ever before. Kind of makes you think, doesn't it?